Johnny Depp's journey through Hollywood has been a mosaic of triumphs, tribulations, and unexpected turns. From the captivating eccentricity of Captain Jack Sparrow to his nuanced portrayal of troubled characters in films like Edward Scissorhands, Depp has carved a unique path in the industry. But behind the glitz and glam of Hollywood, Johnny's life has been anything but easy. Personal struggles, media scrutiny, and public controversies have tested him in ways most people could never imagine. Yet through it all, one thing has remained unwavering: his fans. For Johnny Depp, his relationship with his fans goes beyond simple admiration. It's a bond that has been forged over decades of shared experiences, emotional connection, and mutual respect. When the world seemed to turn its back on him, his fans stood firm, offering him the unwavering support that would help him weather every storm. It all began in the early years of his career, long before the fame, the red carpets, and the multi-million-dollar paychecks. Johnny was just another actor trying to make his mark in Hollywood. His performances were raw, and his passion for his craft was palpable. But he never anticipated the way his work would touch people's lives in such a profound way. His fans were drawn to his authenticity, his willingness to pour his heart into every role he played, and the vulnerability he displayed even in his most iconic performances. But it wasn't just about his acting. Johnny's relationship with his fans grew because of his openness and sincerity. He didn't hide behind a polished public persona. Instead, he allowed his true self to show through. His fans saw in him someone who wasn't afraid to admit his imperfections, someone who was human in every sense of the word. In a world where so many stars built walls around themselves, Johnny built bridges, reaching out to those who admired him. It was during the darkest moments of his career that Johnny truly understood the depth of this connection. As his personal life began to spiral out of control, the media jumped on every misstep, turning private battles into public spectacles. The more he tried to shield his family and loved ones, the more relentless the paparazzi became. Johnny found himself in the eye of a storm, facing accusations and rumors that seemed to never stop. The weight of it all threatened to break him. But in those moments of despair, his fans never wavered. While the tabloids painted him as a villain, his loyal supporters came to his defense. They flooded social media with messages of encouragement, telling him they believed in his innocence, that they appreciated the man he was beyond the headlines. The sheer volume of love and support he received left him stunned. It was clear that these weren't just casual fans. They were people who had followed him for years, who knew the real Johnny Depp, and who understood the nuances of his character. Johnny had always been a fighter, but the battles outside of his control were different. The paparazzi, the courts, and the public opinion seemed like insurmountable obstacles. It was easy for him to lose hope in humanity, to question whether he could trust anyone again. But then, he would read the heartfelt messages from his fans. The words of kindness, empathy, and unwavering loyalty reminded him that there was still goodness in the world. One day, while walking through a quiet street after an intense day of filming, Johnny had an encounter that would change everything. A fan, a woman in her 30s, approached him cautiously. She wasn't like the others who had sought an autograph or a photo. She stood there with a glimmer of recognition in her eyes. But it wasn't admiration that she showed him. It was understanding. "I know what you're going through," she said softly, her voice trembling with sincerity. "I've been there, and if you ever need someone to talk to, don't hesitate. We're with you, Johnny." Johnny froze. He didn't know what to say. It wasn't just a random encounter. It was a moment of vulnerability, a silent connection between two people who didn't need words to understand each other. The kindness in her words was more than just a fan's sympathy. It was a reflection of the bond he had with all of them. They weren't just idolizing him from afar. They were sharing their pain, their struggles, and their own battles. And in turn, Johnny found solace in knowing that his art had touched lives in ways he could never fully grasp. That encounter became a turning point for Johnny. He began to truly understand the depth of his fans' loyalty. They weren't just supporting him because of his movies. They were supporting him as a person. They saw him as more than a celebrity. They saw him as a man who had made mistakes, who had overcome challenges, and who had the strength to continue despite it all. But it wasn't always easy for Johnny to accept this love. He had always been a private person, wary of letting anyone too close. His fame had taught him to keep people at arm's length, to trust only a few. But his fans broke down those walls, offering him unconditional support at a time when he needed it most. Their kindness was both overwhelming and humbling. As time passed, Johnny began to open up more. He started interacting with fans at premieres and events, taking the time to listen to their stories. He would often hear stories of how his films had helped people through their own personal struggles. One fan shared how Pirates of the Caribbean had helped her through a difficult time after losing a loved one. Another told him that his portrayal of Edward Scissorhands had inspired them to accept their differences and be proud of who they were. These stories, along with the countless messages of love, became a lifeline for Johnny. But it wasn't just about receiving support. Johnny made it a point to give back to his fans. He would often surprise fans with personal notes or unexpected meet and greets. He would quietly help those in need, whether it was offering financial support or simply lending a listening ear. His acts of kindness were never for publicity. They were genuine attempts to repay the loyalty and love that had been shown to him. Johnny Depp's fans have always been more than just a support system. They are his family, his pillars in times of uncertainty. Their love for him isn't based solely on his fame or his film roles. It's rooted in a deep connection that transcends the screen. They see him as a human being, and in return, he sees them as the most powerful force in his life. As Johnny looks back on his career, he knows that the greatest treasure he has gained is not the awards, the accolades, or the fame. It's the love and loyalty of his fans. They have been with him through thick and thin, and their unwavering belief in him has been a source of strength in the darkest times. Johnny Depp's fans are not just admirers. They are his lifelong support system, the ones who have stood by him when the world didn't. And as Johnny continues to navigate his journey in Hollywood, he knows one thing for certain. No matter what the future holds, his fans will always be there, a constant source of love, kindness, and support.